4 years ago, Discovery aired a film that took the world by storm. They claimed Megalodon is still alive, even though it actually went extinct 2 million years ago. People were mad and confused. Mostly mad. But it made everyone take another look at a prehistoric monster named Megalodon. And his legend now lives on in books, television, and even the upcoming summer blockbuster feature film, The Meg. Yes, our movie may have been controversial, but it did spark interest in the real science behind the largest predator that ever lived. Tonight, we look back on the Discovery special that started it all to ask, what did it get right? And wrong. These shark experts are here to set the record straight.
Look at that.
Could Megalodon have killed a whale by biting off his tail? Could a Meg grow as large as a World War II submarine? And if Meg were alive today, would it look like this? Then, check out the exclusive first look at this summer's blockbuster movie, The Meg. All that coming your way right now on Megalodon, Fact versus Fiction. In case you've been living under a rock in the Marianas Trench, here's the lowdown on the heavyweight champ of apex predators.
So we find Megalodon fossils from 23 million years to about 2.5 million years ago.
That's at least 130 million shark weeks ago. Size-wise, this fish was a whopper, growing up to a staggering 60 feet in length and weighing a scale-busting 65 tons. And the name Megalodon doesn't mean big tooth for nothing.
They've got like an 8-foot wide by 8-foot tall mouth full of razor-sharp teeth, like 7 inches long.
And with a maximum bite force of over 40,000 pounds, 10 times that of a modern great white. It all adds up to the biggest, fattest fish of all time.
Just when you thought it was safe to forget about sharks, we give you another one. And this one is the largest that ever lived.
We're out fishing in Hout Bay, and we're gonna get big fish.
Now that you've met Megalodon, grab some popcorn, sit back, and relive the opening scene of Megalodon, the monster shark lives.
This is a big one.
It begins peacefully enough on a charter fishing boat off the coast of South Africa. But exactly 2 hours later,
What the hell was that?
a certain giant prehistoric predator crashes the party.
I'm pretty sure Megalodons were not going to attack a boat just to get the people. No, that did not happen.
Sharks don't wake up in the morning and decide that something at the surface looks like a Snickers snack. These are creatures that are very effective in everything they do.
A day of deep-sea fishing on a charter vessel turned into terror on the high seas.
At first, authorities in the film expect a breaching whale is to blame.
The operator put the vessel into close proximity of mating whales.
Of course, we all know a whale didn't capsize the boat. But could it have been, say, a shark?
It's not common for sharks to capsize boats. I've never even heard of a shark capsizing boats, but I have heard of a lot of sharks landing on boats. When boats are passing along the surface of the water, it could scare a shark, and sometimes they jump out of the water to get away from things. It's a strategy they use to protect themselves against other sharks. The plausibility of a shark jumping on your boat, it's possible. Plausibility of it sinking your boat, not incredibly likely, but if you had a small boat and a large enough shark, it could happen.
Do you mean a shark as large as Megalodon? In the film, no one suspects that yet, but they call in a shark expert anyway.
I'm a marine biologist with a focus on sharks. I often get called in when strange events have happened in the ocean, even when that event's very hard to describe.
I figured he was an actor. Is he not an actor? I mean, I'm pretty sure he's got to be an actor, right?
All right, let's get the show on the road.
In this scene, Colin's team dived to the downed fishing boat and quickly realized there was no way a whale did this. So what are the facts? Or is it all fiction? It appeared the boat was not capsized at all as believed.
But bitten in half.
Footage from a recovered camera further suggests the boat was downed by something other than a whale.
We base really a lot of what we know about Megalodon and what we know about great white sharks. And great white sharks don't attack boats. When they go in and they bite something, they're kind of taking a test bite first. In my opinion, the animal would have come alongside and maybe taken a nibble or a nip and not just bitten the boat in half.
The impact to the vessel is massive. It's much more substantial than I thought it would be, which is why they called me in as quickly as they did. You see, whales, in the rare instances they have collided with boats, end up breaching on top of the boat. But after looking at the search and recovery footage, it's clear the vessel was rammed from underneath.
In other words, Colin Drake is suggesting a megalodon sunk the boat using an attack style called a Polaris breach.
A Polaris breach is that iconic shot that you see on Shark Week, right? Where the shark basically comes from the bottom of the ocean and jumps up and launches out of the water and stuns his prey.
So it's a surprise attack.
It's not the only way that white sharks hunt their prey, but it certainly is one of the most spectacular ways. And so it gets a lot of attention because, I mean, who doesn't love an airborne shark?
Of course, the question on everyone's mind is, could a 65-ton megalodon become airborne?
There's nothing to say that a 60-foot animal can't jump out of the water. Large animals jump out of the water every day. Whales jump out of the water, large sharks jump out of the water. A basking shark is about 30 feet in length. That's the second largest fish in the world, and that thing completely comes out of the water.
The world's largest animal in the oceans, the blue whale, can also breach.
A blue whale and the bigger, larger whales, they breach with about 90% of their body out of the water, whereas you've seen great white sharks breach completely out of the water. So it depends on your definition of breaching, depends on the size of the animal, and it depends on how fast it can go.
Imagine a world where megalodons still existed. Would we be seeing cool viral videos of them body slamming boats? Or would we see them at all? This sounds like a question for the experts.
If Megalodon existed, would it be able to stay hidden? Not for this long. To say that it does exist to shark people is like telling everybody that T-Rex still exists. It's like a nice thought, but it's not reality.
A lot of people talk about, oh, maybe it's down in the deep water. A lot of the ocean is unexplored.
Would Megalodon be hiding in the Marianas Trench? No, I don't think it would be.
This was a shark that, based on where we find the fossils, we know stuck to surface waters, didn't go very deep.
A lot of scientists believe the megalodons needed more temperate water temperatures. They couldn't just go to the bottom of the ocean. I mean, it's frigid down there. They couldn't hide in the depths of the oceans like some other animals do.
Giant squid, all those other animals that have seemed to elude us, there is plausibility that they could sustain themselves. With Megalodon, we don't know of any way that it could.
Feeding on angler fish in the deep ocean would not support a 50 to 60 foot long shark. The food resources available to sustain an animal that large are closer to the shore.
Someone would have seen a megalodon by now or have seen the output of their voracious appetites, right?
We would see half-eaten carcasses of things that would have this giant bite radius or whatever, you know. There would be so much more evidence.
And on top of that, I would think that you would at least see them feeding at a bloated whale carcass or something like we see with tiger sharks and white sharks now.
Sharks lose teeth like crazy, 3,000 teeth in their lifetime. Depends on the shark. It'd be really difficult not to notice a megalodon being around because there's going to be tons of teeth.
There's really nowhere for this thing to go that we wouldn't be able to find it.
People do claim to see megalodons, but then again, people claim to see the Loch Ness Monster and Chupacabra and Bigfoot, so I kind of liken the megalodon to those creatures.
Bottom line, that shark is not around anymore. It's a dinosaur. That shark is extinct.
Up next, an eyewitness can't believe her eyes.
I've seen great whites in this water. I mean, they've never had a dorsal fin this big.
TV scientists get a shock in Shark Alley.
Something's not right. The fish are gone, the seals are gone.
Mike, come in, Mike.
Plus, more megalodon facts from our team of experts.
Those teeth are for slicing large pieces of tissue. Humans are eaten whole, if anything.
And later, the world premiere of the exclusive sneak peek from The Meg, the summer blockbuster featuring the biggest star on the planet.
It's Megalodon. He's kidding, right?
On Megalodon, fact versus fiction. In this next clip from Megalodon, the monster shark lives. Marine biologist Colin Drake leads a giant shark hunting expedition to notorious Shark Alley, which sounds totally fake, but is actually a real place you can look up.
Diving in Shark Alley is highly dangerous.
The purpose of the dive is locking down cameras on the ocean floor. I'm hoping for any way to identify the predator in these waters. They're also placing the ocean floor-based sonar that I helped develop. We're calling it our submarine finder.
Sonar is sending out sound to locate things in a void. Sound wave will go out to the object, bounce off the object, and refract back.
The sonar is showing a large creature in the immediate area.
I don't think the sonar would pick up well, I know the sonar wouldn't pick up the outline of a shark. It might come up as a large cloud, which could be misinterpreted for a school of fish, but it certainly wouldn't show the outline of a shark.
I think that sonar image of the shark shape might be more for entertainment value because really that would show up as just a blob.
After setting up the sonar array, Colin Drake's team notices it's suddenly eerily quiet in Shark Alley.
Something's not right. The fish are gone, the seals are gone.
All of the other sea life, including the seals, seem to have suddenly left the area.
So that's pretty much what it looks like at Shark Alley. And the big great whites come in, so everything kind of goes eerily quiet and you know they're there before you actually see them. But let me repeat myself, there are no megalodons.
We get it, smarty pants. No megalodons roam the modern seas. But back when they did, the oceans were like a Darwinian thunderdome, survived only by the fittest and biggest. So just how big could a megalodon get?
There's been a lot of attempts by scientists to figure out how big Megalodon got.
Fossil sharks don't preserve that well in the fossil record. Their bodies are made out of cartilage, and so typically we just find isolated teeth, and once in a while their vertebrae.
If we look at some of the living relatives of Megalodon, like great whites, there is a definite relationship between the size of the teeth and the length of the body. So we can use mathematics and statistical modeling to figure out what that relationship is so that if you find a tooth, you can plug the size of the tooth into the equation and get a total length.
Based on what we know about other shark species, 50 to 60 feet is a really good estimate. And that would be a little bit longer than an average school bus, which is about 45 feet long.
One of the most amazing things about white sharks, and I'm sure probably Megalodon too, is once they stop growing vertically, they start growing horizontally. And white sharks have these massive girths, so I can only imagine how big Megalodon must have been.
A great white shark is about an average of 18 feet at maximum size, and probably a couple of 1,000 pounds, but a couple of 1,000 pounds, that's 1 foot of the Megalodon, like 60 tons of shark.
Great white sharks today fill the same ecological niche. They're doing very similar things to what Megalodon was doing in the past. They're eating similar prey items, they're living in similar areas.
Scientists definitely turn to great white sharks in terms of their behavior, their appearance, even how they hunt, to try and give them some ideas of what Megalodon used to be like.
They're the closest thing we have, but until we find body fossils, which are exceedingly rare of sharks anyway, over their entire 400 million years, we have no way to know what Megalodon looked like.
No matter what it looked like, Megalodon probably wasn't something you'd want to encounter in a dark ocean trench. But what if you did? What do you think, professional shark people?
To think something as large as Megalodon would even care that we existed besides just swimming through us just seems really outside of what I would think this shark would do. Those teeth are for slicing large pieces of tissue out of there. Humans are eaten whole, if anything.
We're bony. There's no blubber on us. Bones, they don't want bones.
It's gonna burn a lot of energy trying to catch you and eat you, that at the end of the day, it's not getting a lot of payoff for a 60-foot animal.
I kind of liken it to, you open your mouth and you accidentally swallow a bug. I feel like that's what it would be like for a Megalodon to swallow a person.
You see a lot of modern sharks swim around with a lot of fish, and they pose little threat to those fish because the fish are using the shark as protection from their predators.
I don't necessarily want to be the one that found out, though. I don't think I'd be comfortable in the water with a Megalodon.
You also might not be too comfortable on this South African beach, where in the next clip from Megalodon, the monster shark lives, a shark spotter claims to have captured proof of something big and scary.
A witness saw something she couldn't believe, and it's about to change the entire investigation.
So what is it you saw out there?
When I first saw it, I thought it was just a whale surfacing, but we see that all the time. It's not unusual.
Well, super accurate from a standpoint that the shark spotters were in the hills and they're looking down at Muizenberg Beach, all places I've been many, many times.
But then there was a commotion in the water, and it was as if the whale was being attacked or something. It was thrashing around a lot. I thought maybe it was orcas attacking it. I grabbed my camera and I took a picture of it. But then it stopped moving and it disappeared under the water. When I looked at the picture, I couldn't believe it because orcas don't have fins shaped like this. Theirs are very distinctly different.
The shark looked like it was cut out of cardboard.
That looks very much like clip art or stock image fin. It's just entirely too perfect. Shark dorsal fins are they're like your thumb. They're all different. A fully mature shark, the fin is not that pretty because if it's full grown, it's gone through a few things.
The only part of the image that was real was the whale. And I don't know if that was composited in, but the shark fin was totally fake.
But in the film, the shark spotter lady believes her photo is evidence of a monster shark.
I've seen great whites in this water. They've never had a dorsal fin this big from this far away. I've never seen anything like it.
There's no sense of scale in that picture. All you see is this kind of red mess, so it's not even clear what kind of whale is in there that you could possibly use as a scale for the fin. Just all the no.
Yeah, I'm not buying it.
I'm estimating that dorsal fin to be 5 to 6 feet above the surface. The frothy disturbance in the water shows that the predator is attacking the whale, which appears to be 40 to 50 feet from the predator's dorsal fin.
Trying to justify the size of the fin and the length without really a whole lot of landmarks also makes me very skeptical.
The only way we know anything about a Megalodon is from fossil records.
Megalodon tooth. Heck yeah.
And since sharks are predominantly cartilage, really the only thing we know is their teeth and a few of their vertebrae. So it's really difficult to know for sure, specifically what the fins of a Megalodon even look like.
We base our reconstructions mainly on great whites, but there are other lamniform sharks in the same order as Megalodon that had really high dorsal fins, things like the porbeagle sharks. They have very high dorsal fins for their body length. And so, again, we can extrapolate based on a living apex predator that does something similar, but that's just an extrapolation, and we really don't know.
Still to come.
Look at that.
Does this photo tell a whale of a tale?
The whale looks to be almost bitten in half. It's absolutely insane.
Plus, a daring rescue reveals something deeper. Or does it?
Megalodon probably could have lived in the waters off of Brazil today.
And later, Jaws is a pipsqueak compared to the creature in our sneak peek of this summer's aquatic blockbuster, the Meg. On Megalodon, fact versus fiction. In this next heartwarming scene from the film Megalodon, The Monster Shark Lives, marine biologist Colin Drake unearths compelling footage of a father and son fishing. That's the heartwarming part. What they discover is pretty gross.
What is that?
We're desperately searching any and all incidents and sightings around the world that might be in any way similar to what's been happening here in South Africa. Has any other fishing boat gone down? Has any other whale suffered a brutal attack? And that's when we came across some footage that was shot in Hawaii. The video was shot by a father and a son who had come across a whale that had suffered a brutal attack.
What is that? Hey, look at that. What is that?
I'm not buying it. Especially because it was clearly shot in South Africa too, and was not in Hawaii.
Now, the original footage was kind of hard to make out, but after studying it and the amateur photos taken from the beach, you can clearly see a bite radius.
Oh, there's so much. The bite marks don't look right. It's too clean of a cut. It should be ragged based on the serrations that Meg has on its teeth. So this thing should be covered in seagulls at this point and other things trying to eat this dead whale. So that's like #1 red flag. There should be oozing. There's no blood on the beach. It's just its intestines hanging out with no red around it, right? So the whale's all wrong to start with, even if it was something that had gotten really eaten.
From the vantage point of the kid's camera, the whale looks to be almost bitten in half. It's absolutely insane.
To say that it would go after a whale and probably take off its tail, that's totally plausible. Modern sharks do that.
Sharks are no dummies, and basically biting the tail off of its prey is like taking an engine out of a car. So, the shark can just eat their prey at their leisure.
Looking at the wound on that non-existent whale, that would have been a way larger shark than Megalodon.
That bite is almost impossible for that size whale because it would have to hit right between two vertebrae in that softer part where the cartilage and connective tissue is to make that bite like that.
Megalodon has huge slicing teeth. So if it bit onto something and that thing was traveling really fast, it might just tear through it. I would think that Megalodon, when it did exist, would be more of an ambush predator than a chase down predator.
So, how exactly did this ambush predator ambush its prey?
Some scientists believe that megalodons hunted whales the same way that white sharks hunt seals.
Whales have to come to the surface to get air. The Megalodon doesn't. It would make the whale very vulnerable, and most experts believe that this would be the time that the shark would attack and strike.
Okay, so they're not buying that this is a real dead whale. But if Megalodon still existed, there might be a lot of bad whale-related news going around.
Would we still have whales if Megalodon existed today? Well, we certainly would have to if we wanted to see Megalodon around, because really there's no other food resource that would be abundant enough or enough mass to keep a megalodon alive.
There's not enough whales in the ocean to sustain multiple animals that size for that amount of time.
Humans have put tons of pressure on whales, so if you introduce a whole new predator that wasn't around before, they certainly would be almost non-existent because we've almost driven whales to extinction.
If a megalodon were here, we would have a real issue with whales for sure, because there were definitely more whales and they were much larger back in the megalodon's days. And if a megalodon had to eat 1,300 to 2,700 pounds of food every day, imagine what would be left in our oceans, like nothing.
Yep, if Megs were still here today, the oceans would look a lot different. And judging by this next scene from Megalodon, the monster shark lives, Coast Guard servicemen should probably start wearing diapers to work.
The aerial footage from the Coast Guard rescue in Brazil is just out of this world.
Havia muito vento, o mar agitado, o tempo piorando.
It was windy, choppy seas, and the weather was getting worse. It was not an easy rescue. I was having a difficult time holding the chopper in place. We were able to grab him and we were pulling him up. He was about 20 feet out of the water when I saw that there was a huge shadow down there. That was not a whale, and it was well over 60 feet long. I'll tell you, I thought that guy was lucky before. Now I know he's a whole other kind of lucky.
A few keys to know that this scene was not real. The water's passing by, the shark's not moving with it. The little CGI shark seems suspect, and the fact that this shark doesn't exist seems really suspect.
Coming up, Megalodon goes to war.
I guess the implication is that Megalodon hated the Nazis.
Plus, for the first time ever, an exclusive sneak peek from The Meg, starring Jason Statham.
He's kind of got a negative attitude.
On Megalodon, fact versus fiction. In this next scene from Megalodon, the monster shark lives, marine biologist Colin Drake comes across a stunning World War II-era photo that raises many, many questions, like, could anything about this be real?
During World War II, after
Archival
France had fallen
footage
to
just
Germany,
found.
the Nazi U-boat fleet gained access to several French ports, enabling them to operate in the Eastern Atlantic. This photograph is from uncovered Nazi files, its existence only recently coming to light. The picture was taken just off Cape Town.
Yeah, and I bet you Bigfoot was actually, like, driving the submarine, too.
It's absolutely incredible. You take a look at that picture and you measure the distance from the dorsal fin to the tail fin, and then compare that to the U-boat that's in the foreground. That's your scale.
He is really not good at scales.
We're talking about a giant shark. That thing is enormous.
Megalodon went extinct 2 to 2.5 million years ago. World War II, not 2 to 2.5 million years ago.
I guess the implication is that Megalodon hated the Nazis.
The other problem is that the narrator,
I'm a marine biologist with a focus on sharks.
or whatever he is comparing the size of this animal to the U-boat, but they're not actually in the same plane. Because it's further back, and I don't know how much further back that is, you can't really make an accurate measurement. The chance of this being real is none.
Luckily for the Allied forces, it was impossible for the Germans to recruit Megalodon. Unluckily for Megalodon, it died out way before even the Trojan War. But why?
No one really knows what caused Megalodon to go extinct. We know that it disappeared off the planet around 2 million years ago, and we don't know much past that.
I always like to tell people that there's not one smoking gun. It's probably due to a number of different causes working together.
So there are two schools of thought on what caused Megalodon to go extinct. The first argument is temperature change.
Ocean temperatures changed a lot during the time that Megalodon was alive. Oscillated a little bit between warm and then a cool down.
We have the first Antarctic ice sheets appear during the late Miocene, and some scientists believe that a lot of these filter-feeding or baleen misthecete whales were starting to migrate more towards polar regions, and that Megalodon just couldn't follow their food sources.
The other one is rise of other competitors for their food, such as other sharks and larger whales, like predatory orca-type whales.
In the middle Miocene, we really have the peak diversity of medium-sized whales. And we see that diversity sharply decline into the Pliocene time period. The buffet, as it were, closed down, and they just couldn't find the resources they needed to survive.
It sounds like Megalodon may have gotten too big for its britches. But if it hadn't, What would it be like on the open ocean with Sharkzilla around?
I think it probably would definitely impact tourism. They probably couldn't come right up to the swimming areas just based on their size. I don't think that Megalodon would be coming in and grabbing people.
If Megalodons were alive, I mean, I know I'm thinking like pool 100%, right? Like I am not getting into the ocean.
If you look at the modern day sharks that are actually at that size where they would hunt prey items our size, they're not attacking us. There's mistaken identity, but there isn't like something to prove that they're hunting us. You know, if sharks were hunting us, there would be a lot more people injured.
When you go surfing, you're going into a wild system, and you have to take the consequences.
I definitely think that tourism would probably change, and we'd probably all be headed to the desert versus the beach, right?
So, not as much danger as you might expect from a Meg on the water. But what about below? In this next scene from Megalodon, the monster shark lives, Colin Drake's team attempts to tag a Meg underwater.
The whale hit us from behind, and suddenly it's up against the cage. Something's pushed it right up against the cage.
Can you guys hear me down there? At the same time, I saw a big shadow behind me, and the cage started shaking like crazy, so I aimed the spear gun and shot.
I mean, so many things are going through my mind right now. I've spent a lot of time in those waters. I've never seen anything remotely like Megalodon. They're trying to tag a shark with a little, spear gun, and I'm thinking, really? No way that tag is going into Megalodon at all. Sharks have dermal denticles, which are teeth, and I can't even imagine how thick and hard that Megalodon's, skin must have been. No. The answer's no.
Mike, come in. Can you guys hear me?
Couldn't see anything. It was just pitch black. And next thing after that, the cage gets hit, and I mean gets slammed. We are upside down. We are cartwheeling through the water.
Being inside of a shark cage, it's like being inside of a washing machine, and that's what it feels like. But sometimes that's what it feels like on just a day with like waves around.
I don't see anything! She's there!
It sure seems like the Meg in the film is hankering for a human appetizer. But what would it eat, aside from marine biologists?
If Megalodon existed today, the oceans would be completely different.
These sharks were feeding off things that are also extinct.
The food resources that were there in the Miocene and early Pliocene just aren't here today.
I think that ocean is completely different to the modern ocean. They believe that Megalodon had to eat large marine mammals like ancient dolphins and whales and possibly dugongs at their younger stages.
Predators really do form the behavior of their prey, even the size of their prey. So as Megalodons disappeared, everything kind of got smaller in the oceans too, and less of it as well.
So if Megalodon were still alive today, there certainly would not be that many of them out there.
If there was suddenly one introduced out of nowhere, like Jurassic Park, where they brought something back to life, it'd probably backfire and eat a whole bunch of stuff and help us really get whales extinct.
If a Megalodon did exist, for sure it would be the top predator of the ocean today. I mean, it would be 50 to 60 feet long and 50 tons. I mean, I don't know what else would be in the oceans besides the Megalodons, given how much they have to eat on a daily basis in order to survive.
Next, it's Mono a Megalodon with the world premiere sneak peek from The Meg. On Megalodon, fact versus fiction.
I believe that we just encountered Megalodon.
I think the biggest misconception about Megalodon is that it's still alive.
Can you guys hear me down there?
Ever since the documentary aired 4 years ago, I get this question constantly.
I get asked that question almost every single day.
Is Megalodon still alive?
You guys see him? The whole cage is gone?
I am so shocked at how many people ask me if I dove with a megalodon.
You see her?
Like, what?
She's there!
Yeah, no.
When Megalodon, the monster shark lives, kicked off Shark Week 4 years ago, it ignited worldwide megalodon mania that still shows no signs of slowing down.
The difference between this and Jurassic Park is Jurassic Park was a movie and everyone knew it was fake. I mean, no one is asking, you know, hey, where are all the dinosaurs? Whereas with this, it broached on reality for sure.
It's always fun to kind of think, oh, well, what if UFOs exist? What if there are dinosaurs today? You know, those are always kind of fun stories that really capture people.
I think the fascination with Megalodon is this idea that there was a 50 or 60 foot long shark in the oceans that we only know from the fossil record.
I think people are fascinated with Megalodon in the same way that they're fascinated with dinosaurs. There's this big, giant, scary thing, and knowing about it gives you a little power over those fears.
To shark people, this is their epic dinosaur. It's the T-Rex to the ocean type of dinosaurs.
At the end of the day, you know, it starts a dialogue, and as a conservationist and someone trying to save sharks, I welcome that kind of a dialogue.
Clearly, the Megalodon phenomenon is still going strong. So strong, in fact, that it even inspired a major motion picture. Now, as promised, here's an exclusive world premiere clip from this summer's upcoming documentary event. Just kidding. Upcoming blockbuster spectacular, The Meg.
The thing's out there. It's a Meg.
Excuse me?
I said it's a megalodon.
He's kidding, right?
We need to find it and kill it.
Why don't you just put a tracker on it? Did you guys ever watch Shark Week?
We should be able to put a tracking dart on that dorsal fin.
You're welcome.
This tracker rifle only has a 100-foot range.
100 feet?
Get really close before you shoot.
Great.
If you want me to go instead, I will.
I got this, Meg.
Okay, good, because I was lying. Be safe.
Yeah, thanks, pal. I hope you're right about this.
Me too.
I'm an idiot. And proceeding to the enormous killer shark.
Yeah, we got you, Jonas.
Sharks are attracted to panic motion. Keep it nice and smooth.
It's all gonna be fine. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Swimming, swimming. Just keep swimming.
Oh boy, it's going under.
done it.
Mac! Tracker is live!
Great. Reel him in, DJ.
Stop! Stop! No vibration!
Ugh, I'm in trouble.
Jonas, it's coming at you!
You think I didn't notice? Stop the boat! Stop the boat!
Pull him in!
Hell yeah!
Megalodons were thought to have been extinct. Wrong. It's a great day to go fishing.
Why couldn't it have been Megalodon that attacked that whale? I'm thinking it's Megalodon. Megalodon. If Megalodon is hiding down there, will we even be able to tag Megalodon? I believe that we just encountered Megalodon.
Oh.